Well, it's been 48 days since the terror unleashed by alleged marathon bombers Tamerlan and Jahar Tsarnaev. One neighborhood in Watertown witnessed both the shootout that resulted in Tamerlan's death and the massive manhunt that ended in his capture. WGBH contributor Gail Huff went back to that Watertown neighborhood this week to see how residents are coping.
Kids laugh as they walk down Laurel Street. From a distance, everything looks normal in this Watertown neighborhood. It's not until you get up close that you can see the houses are still riddled with bullet holes, dozens of them. A visual reminder that this neighborhood has been scarred by violence. Gawkers still drive by to take pictures, even though it's been 7 weeks since the shootout between the Tsarnaev brothers and Watertown police. Andrew Kitzenberg lives here on Laurel Street. He took these amazing pictures from his window, and he'll never forget what he saw.
The gunfire was very terrifying, but when the bombs went off and their explosives were going off and it was actually shaking our house, that brought it to a whole nother level.
Now back at work and finally sleeping through the night, he's confident his pictures will help the case against the brothers.
Yeah, I submitted all the pictures to the Watertown police, and I know that they've been using them as evidence.
For Watertown police, it's also been a time for reflection.
How my office has responded is going to be taught in academies across the country, if not across the world. You know, it's the first time on U.S. soil police officers had been shot at and had explosions thrown at them at the same time.
Meanwhile, townspeople are showing their appreciation and pride for their police and firefighters. They're raising money for the cause.
These are all XLs.
Anne-Marie Eigner, who also lives in the neighborhood, still hears gunshots in her mind. She's producing these Watertown Strong T-shirts, already having raised more than $70,000.
Donations should go to the victims because they have a lifetime ahead of them of challenges.
Local stores can't keep them in stock.
The people in the town have united over what has happened in the last month or so.
Michael Kyra's business is also in the neighborhood. He's selling the T-shirts. Vividly, he remembers what police found behind his store, apparent leftovers from the Tsarnaevs' homemade bombs.
Just cardboard canisters. They were inside a plastic bag, couple plastic bags. Now that we've thought about it and you talk amongst other people, and yeah, it's I don't want to say scary, but you know, what else is out there? It almost brings us back to a little bit back to 9/11 when you didn't trust everybody, or you were more cautious.
Laurel Street will forever be remembered as the last stand for the Tsarnaev brothers. 8 minutes that changed a neighborhood.
There's a tight fabric here in that the terrorists came in and they thought they could put fear in Boston, in Watertown. They thought they could ambush one of my police officers on the street, and it didn't happen. This community's stronger, Boston's stronger now. I think the whole country is.
And Gail Huff is here. Well, Gail, right after the fact, I mean, this neighborhood was really under siege by the media as well. There were national press, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people there. How did they feel about you coming back now? Were they still ready to talk? Were they rolling their eyes and saying, oh, no?
You know what? There were both of those reactions. There were people that were very vocal about not wanting us there, who actually came up and said, please leave us alone. You know, it's time for us to heal. Please leave our neighborhood. On the other hand, there was very much a sense of pride, and there were a lot of people that were actually excited about the fact that this has put Watertown and their neighborhood on the map. They're happy about the fact that, you know, they were able to stop those brothers. What happened in their neighborhood just made such an impact around the world. So it is really interesting that you get both of those reactions.
What did you find out about who's paying for the damage to those homes? I had no idea that so many of them were bullet riddled.
It's unbelievable. I mean, thousands of dollars, because you have to, I mean, for every bullet hole, most of those bullets went through. So in some cases, you know, bullets were found in the backside of chairs, in closets, in clothing. I mean, just so the bullet hole you see from the outside has to be repaired from that side and the inside. We're talking in some cases of, you know, over $100,000. So insurance companies will cover a little bit of it, but the police department has appealed to the state in hopes that the state may be able to make up some of that money to pay for it.
The police chief says that his department is going to be looked at as a model for the rest of the country. However, was there any reflection about maybe 200, 300 rounds fired off that night, that maybe it was kind of an overboard, that once one person fired, it was just like a willy-nilly firing and you could see the results of it?
Well, of course, the police officer who was struck, and we believe by friendly fire, is an example of the fact that, you know, there were, yes, a lot of rounds fired. It's amazing. Even the police chief says it's amazing, maybe even luck, that not more people were hit, that no civilians were struck. Part of that being the time of day, it's after midnight. But I did not get the sense that people in the neighborhood were angry about that. They were relieved and felt, well, it's a good thing that the police knew what they were doing because nobody else got hurt. So I didn't get the sense that there was anger about that.
What about the Tsarnaev brothers? Do people remember seeing them now that they think of it? I mean, they clearly were very familiar with that neighborhood.
They do. They do. In fact, I talked to two neighbors who said there's no doubt in their mind that they had seen them in the neighborhood, that they were friends with apparently some folks that lived around there. And one of the neighbors said, you know, we're going to have a cookout this summer and try and get as many people out as possible so we know who our neighbors are. We want to know who's living next door. We want to know who's living in the street over. We want to know who's coming in and out. There is still that sense of distrust and I won't call it fear. It's not a fear, but it's a little bit of anxiety. We want to know what's going on in our neighborhood, and we want to know who's living here.
Understandable. All right, Gail Huff, great to have you.
Thank you.